On today's show, the Rockets snapped their three-game losing streak with a win against the Bulls. The big three of Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, and Amen Thompson combined for 74 points, but it was Jabari Smith Jr. who was the hero at the end of this game with 8 points in the final 3 minutes, including 2 big three-pointers. What can this game do for his confidence moving forward? It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh man, it's good to be back in the win column. What is up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Now the #1 sports podcast network. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts, or on YouTube, just search Locked On Rockets. On today's show, talking about the Houston Rockets 119-113 win against the somewhat injury-plagued Bulls, but a win is a win. You play who is in front of you, and that's all that matters for this Rockets team that's been struggling for a minute. We're going to talk about Jabari Smith Jr., big shot Bari at the end of this game, and hopefully what this game can do for his confidence moving forward in his role within this Rockets offense. The contributions from the big three combining for 74 points. Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson. We'll also talk about Sengun's passing in this game. Amen Thompson, his downhill attack, 10 of 10 at the free throw line. So encouraging. And J.D. Davison. What? Leapfrogging in the rotation, the first sub off the bench in this game. So much to talk about. First, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you so much for being an everydayer. 119-113 final score. And look, it's not a crazy, impressive win by any stretch of the imagination, but the Rockets needed a get-right win. They needed to just see, it's kind of the equivalent of just when you're missing a bunch of shots and you need to see one go down, right? Like, they just needed to see a win happen to hopefully kind of get things right. They've been on the road a ton this season. They have the fewest home games played, and now they have this stretch of 5 straight home games. It doesn't get easier because you got Thunder, Wolves, all that, but a win is a win, and this was not an easy win either. Unfortunately, right? On paper, it should have been. No Josh Giddey, no Kobe White for the Bulls. Yeah, the Rockets aren't at full strength either, but, you know, as far as impact, Giddey and Kobe White have a pretty substantial impact on the Bulls as far as especially their offense is concerned. But Rockets came out on top of a game that was back and forth the entire way through. Like, at no point were either team able to create any separation. 35 different lead changes in this game. Just absolutely absurd. But the swinging point of this game was at the end of regulation with just under 3 minutes to go. Jabari Smith Jr. steps up and hits some of the biggest shots he's had in recent memory. He hit a three-pointer to give the Rockets the lead, 108-106. A lead that they would not relinquish the rest of the game. And one thing that I loved about that three, if memory serves, it came off of an assist from Alperen Sengun down low. The thing that I loved about that three is he moved into open space. The Rockets' offense at times is so stagnant with guys just standing, ball watching, waiting for a miracle to happen from KD or Sengun or even Amen Thompson, what have you. And watching Jabari move his feet around the three-point line, getting out of the way of the defender, relocating into an open spot, and being there for the kick-out pass for that three-pointer was huge. So you get that move. Just before that move, you actually had a pretty massive slam dunk from KD right out of a timeout, which was like, had a little bit of I'm doing everything I can to not lose this game type vibe to it. But Jabari hits the big three, gives the Rockets the lead. Alperen Sengun gets fouled, trying to go up for a slam. One of the multiple times that Sengun tried to violently assault the rim against the Bulls. He hits a couple free throws. Rockets go up 110-106. Jabari comes down at just flow state, hits a midi pull-up jumper to make it 112-108. And then the next possession down, Jabari Smith Jr. hits another huge three-pointer to give the Rockets a 115-108 lead, almost matching their biggest lead of the game up to that point, which was 8 before that. So a 7-point lead. The way that Jabari played in that fourth quarter, specifically in those final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, because the reality of it is he was having a very kind of mid-game until hitting those 3 really clutch buckets at the end. He finished the night 18 points, 6 of 13 shooting, 2 of 7 from downtown. It was 0 of 5 from 3 until those 2 big makes at the end. It was even just 4 of 6 at the free throw line. Missed a couple free throws too. It was an overall kind of meh game for Jabari. Kind of the same of what we've seen from him over these last few games. Maybe not quite as bad as the Blazers games. So for him to be able to keep taking those shots, he talked about it after the game in the courtside interview with Vanessa Richardson, how his teammates kept telling him to keep his head up, that they believed in him, that they trusted him to make those shots, that they kept passing it to him, right? That he, I'm assuming he didn't mention it specifically, but, kept the confident, or the coaching staff kept their confidence in him, right? And he finally gets them to go down. Talked about it in previous shows. Jabari has to be consistent for this Rockets team to be able to be consistent. He is very much their swing factor of success this season. And so to see him get a game like this, hopefully this game can be the wind beneath his wings to give him some renewed confidence. I still remember back during his rookie season near the end of the year, talking with assistant coach John Lucas about Jabari and how hard he is on himself, right? He's so in his head sometimes about what he should be doing, how he should be better, what he needs to improve on, all that stuff. He's really hard on himself, and he's still super young, right? I'm not treating him with like kid gloves or anything. He needs to be better. He needs to be like consistent. He needs to be this level of consistent, preferably better than this level of consistent, honestly, because 6 of 13 is still a little rough. But getting a game like this can be a major confidence booster, and a confident Jabari is the X factor for this Rockets team. A Jabari who's hitting shots at a consistent clip, 38, 39, 40% from 3. That version of Jabari, a motivated defensive version of Jabari, a Jabari that is picking and choosing his spots better within the flow of the offense. That's a very dangerous weapon for this Rockets team to have. And the proof is in the pudding. Rockets, when Jabari scores 15 or more points this season, are 16-6. That's a damn good record when he scores 15 or more. When he scores 14 or less, the Rockets are 5-8. Now, those records aren't accounting for a few other variables. Obviously, Sengun's missed some time, Tari's missing time. Like, there's some overlapping things there. But I think it's pretty safe to say that if Jabari Smith Jr. is scoring the ball well in a basketball game, the Rockets stand a really good chance of winning said basketball game. And hopefully this is something that he'll be able to build on, and that the Rockets offense will be able to build on to garner some consistency moving forward. But coming up, we're going to get into more of the game, the different runs, the other parts of this one that stood out. JD Davison, new sixth man, first sub off the bench for Ime Udoka, leapfrogging Reed Shepherd in the rotation. We'll also talk about Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun, and so much more. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip off and make a move before the window closes. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. The new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every single room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. Recently, I upgraded my entertainment console for my living room area, and I loved it on Wayfair, found exactly what I was looking for, and the no-hassle delivery straight to my doorstep was exactly what I needed to make sure that I didn't have to worry about any of the added stresses of ordering a new piece of furniture. So get organized, get refreshed, and get back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Remember, the best way to help us grow the show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing, and then like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. I would, because it's been a minute, I want to release the Hounds, but like this is not a win that you like feel good about releasing the Hounds on. So we're gonna keep him in the kennel for this one, guys. I think. I mean, no, actually don't go comment on the this is not a proud win. This is okay. They got by, and this is okay. If they beat OKC, we'll do it. All right. JD Davison, man, we knew that this kid could play from his very early days as a Rocket, all the way back into preseason, right? Seeing him on the court every time that he's been on the floor, whether it's with like in legitimate game time or garbage time, he makes the most of his minutes. He makes an impact. And Ime Udoka decided to shoot him all the way up the rotation to where he was the first sub off the bench in this game. That was a shocker. And I'll be honest, I had whiplash for a second because I was like, oh my goodness, if Reed is so far in the doghouse that JD Davison is the first guard sub off the bench, but then like Reed followed him like right after that. So there's a lot to unpack from JD Davison's performance. Really solid night though. 9 points, 3 of 6 shooting, hit a 3-pointer, got to the free throw line a few times, hit 2 of 3 there, 7 rebounds from the guard spot, using his size to his advantage. You know, he's a bigger guard. He's not massive, right? He's not like a jumbo combo guard, but he's a much bigger guard than Reed Shepherd is, or Aaron Holiday for that matter. 4 assists and 0 turnovers. And he had a block shot in there. Plus 14 in his 25 minutes. And the big takeaway from JD Davison being out there, right, is holy crap, what is the Rockets offense with a legitimate point guard just looks so much more fluid. They can get in and out of their sets quicker. Things move a little bit better on the floor. He's a great connective tissue piece. So even if he's like starts the set and then gets the extra and then gets a pass, he's good at making like the extra read, you know, in the half court, playing off of KD, Sengun, Amen. He got to close in this game. He closed. That's how good he was. JD Davison has basically probably, maybe not quite just yet, but has basically played himself into probably a standard NBA deal. And I would imagine that the Rockets front office, especially now that they have enough space under the first apron for a prorated vet minimum deal, they might look to rush to sign JD Davison just to lock him down, because he could very well be the answer for what the Rockets need at that point guard position. Not full-time, not an immediate starting point guard, but 20 to 25 or even 30 minutes of steady point guard play off the bench. And hell, maybe he does work his way into the starting lineup at some point. Rockets have time before the trade deadline to decide if JD Davison is suddenly the answer that they've been missing out on all season. But you can't deny how smooth things looked on the floor when JD Davison was out there. He is a plus level defender. He doesn't get bullied because of his size. He's a good switchy defender. He communicates well. He moves on his feet well. He's physical. And then on offense, there's what's not to like, right? The only potential downside with JD Davison was, will the shot hold up? But if he's hitting at a even remotely consistent rate from beyond the arc, he is legitimately the Rockets' best point guard on the roster right now, or the most well-rounded point guard on the roster, right? Reed Shepherd has those moments where he gets crazy hot. He's got the court vision and shows the flashes, but he's still really young, right? Still a little smaller, hasn't grown into his NBA body yet. And Amen Thompson, that whole experiment it's going. It hasn't been fantastic, hasn't been horrible, but it's been kind of somewhere middle of the pack as far as what we would have hoped the results would have looked like with Amen as the full-time primary ball handler. So for JD Davison to be able to come in and make such an impact in this game, hopefully it sticks, right? Let's see if he's the first sub off the bench again against the OKC Thunder. Let's see what happens there. Let's see what role he has potentially played himself into, because frankly, the way that this Rockets team has played in recent memory, right? It's like Ime Udoka was searching for some more life on the bench, right? Fresh legs. He also played Jayshawn Tate some first half minutes in this game. Played some Clint Capela minutes as well, even though he was still going double big for a big chunk of the game, right? He gave each of those guys 5 minutes. That keeps all your other guys a little bit more fresh, right? Still somehow managed to get Amen Thompson at 42 and KD at 40 minutes, which is ridiculous against a injured Bulls team, but took all hands on deck to get the win. But being able to preserve some of your other guys a little bit, right? Being able to preserve maybe Steven Adams a little bit off the bench, being able to preserve, by a few minutes of rest for Amen Thompson wherever you could with the Jayshawn Tate minutes, getting some of that energy out there, I thought was important. But for JD Davison, having a legitimate point guard out there just makes the Rockets offense feel a lot smoother. And at this stage, he's arguably the best option the Rockets. The reality is they probably should still turn the keys over to Reed Sheppard and live with the good and the bad, but JD Davison probably has a somewhat higher floor at this point, even if the ceiling isn't quite as high as what Reed Sheppard can and could be. But the benefit of having them both out there at the same time is either one of them can run point or play on ball, and then the other one plays off ball, and they can take turns doing it. And they can even both play off ball when Amen Thompson has the ball in his hands and is attacking and getting downhill and breaking down the defense. Some of the best lineups the Rockets ran in this game were the Amen Thompson, JD Davison, Reed Sheppard minutes, where those guys were able to play off of each other. Solid enough, right? So Ime Udoka may have found something here with JD Davison to be able to help kind of right the ship and get the Rockets offense back on track. The defense still has some holes, still has some question marks, but we saw enough, I think, of a sample size to know that when DFS and Tari are both active and healthy, the Rockets defense looks night and day, right? Considerably better. And so the reality is this team is probably still going to be able to be more or less a top 5 defense, no worse than top 7 or top 8. They'll be top 10 for sure with those guys healthy, pending health. Hopefully they can get healthy, whatever, just knock on wood and all that. It's the offense that's going to hold this team back, because so much of the offense is like very almost like smoke and mirrorsy, where it's Kevin Durant isolations, it's Alperen Sengun isolations, it's those two guys just winning a lot of possessions on sheer talent alone, and Amen Thompson to a lesser degree. But the offense still looks super clunky at times, and having a legitimate guard out there, a guy who's played point guard likely his whole career, certainly helped smooth some things out. And so just huge shout out to JD Davison for being part of the Stay Ready crew, for staying prepared, and for making the absolute most of his minutes when he was out there. Fantastic game from JD Davison, and hopefully a role that we see him continue to, reprise moving forward in the Rockets rotation. Coming up, want to share final thoughts from this game. Trey Jones with an absolutely ridiculous game for the Bulls. He's the reason that they were even remotely in this game to begin with. Talk about him and final Rockets thoughts from this one. Amen Thompson's free throw shooting, Alperen Sengun's playmaking, and more. Going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in-network, nearby, with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. It's a lot of boxes to check. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. You can search for a specific specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit. Being able to choose in-person or video visits makes scheduling way easier. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Now, sometimes, honestly, I should probably share a behind-the-scenes picture of like what my game notes look like, because sometimes they just turn into like a rat's nest. But I meant to mention this when I was talking about when I was showering JD Davison with praise a moment ago. But the Rockets actually almost managed to go an entire half without a single turnover. That is an insane statistic given how much the Rockets have flat out struggled to take care of the basketball this season. Now, it's also a credit to guys like KD and Sengun for making solid reads and taking care of the basketball in their own right, for sure. But JD Davison, 13 second half minutes, Rockets, 1 turnover. Proof is in the pudding. And that 1 turnover, shout out to the Rockets broadcast. Shout out to Craig Ackerman, the master of the jinx, who was hyping up the Rockets about having not turned the ball over the entire second half. And then literally as the words left his lips, Kevin Durant committed the one and only turnover for the Rockets in the second half. You couldn't have scripted that better. It's absurd. Craig, you're a madman. Only use your powers against the opposing team. Please and thank you. But taking care of the basketball was such a key. And for a game where the Rockets offense was still really struggling from beyond the arc to hit shots, only 29% shooting from downtown, they more than made up for it by being aggressive and getting downhill, getting to the free throw line, converting their attempts inside the arc, 51% shooting inside the arc in this game, 45 of 88. And again, limiting those turnovers, right? Not letting the Bulls, a Bulls team that loves to play fast, right? Loves to get out and run. They want to play fast. They're a young team. Not letting the Bulls capitalize off those turnovers. They 13 points off of the Rockets' 9 turnovers. Like, they did get out and run a little bit, but for the Rockets to be able to limit those opportunities and essentially just cashing in more or less on the free throw line and like a handful of more made buckets in certain spots of the game. Like, that's kind of it. You know, again, this was such a tightly contested game where no team led by double digits in this game. Rockets' biggest lead was 9, and that happened at the very, very end of the game. The Bulls' biggest lead was 4, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. And also, the reason this was even a game is because Tre Jones just had the game of his life. Like, honestly, kind of maybe a Tre Jones auditioning for like, hey, like Houston Rockets, like trade for me. I could do this on your squad potentially. I don't even know what Tre Jones makes contractually. Like, I don't even know if that's a realistic possibility. It probably is. But Tre Jones, 34 points, 11 of 12 shooting, 5 of 6 from downtown, 7 of 8 at the free throw line, 7 assists, a steal, a couple rebounds. Rockets had zero answer for it. They could not guard. It's not even that they couldn't guard him. It's that they were choosing not to. Like, the Rockets got the win in this. There was still a lot that needs to be improved upon because the defense at times in this game was so egregiously bad. Tre Jones just blew by, and he did it to like everybody up and down the roster. Like, he had so many blow by drives where he just went straight past a guy where like nobody picked him up in transition, that kind of thing. And then the threes that he was knocking out, like there was one 3 that he walked into as a trail 3-pointer and like nobody picked him up and he just fired. I think it was his 4th make. Such bad defense on him. Rockets also were really struggling on the glass. They actually got out offensive rebounded, which doesn't usually happen. Usually they crush on the glass in totality. But it's also really rare for them to get beaten on the offensive glass. They still won the overall rebounding battle, but gave up 14 offensive rebounds to the Bulls, gave them 17 second chance points. Bulls actually beat the Rockets in second chance points. Of the big 3 in this game, Kevin Durant, 28 points, 12 of 23 shooting. Feels weird to like wait until the 3rd segment to talk about these guys, but there were, Jabari and JD. So give them their time in the spotlight. KD was awesome from everywhere, not including 3-point range. He was 11 of 18 inside the arc and only 1 for 5 beyond it. So KD's 3 balls a little busted right now, just like the rest of the team. So he needs to get out of that shooting slump as well. But he also had 10 boards, 4 assists. Is that? Oh, okay. I thought it said 8 turnovers. I was about to freak out. 3 turnovers. Yeah, that matches. I was like, there's no way he had 8 turnovers. Need to clean my monitor. Anyways, Durant had a series of buckets there in the third quarter where he was like straight up trading buckets with Trey Jones. He had 12 of his 28 in that third quarter. And he also had some buckets down the stretch of this game, specifically right in that fourth quarter. He had the dunk out of the ATO. And then he had one other bucket where it was like, these were like, I don't want to lose this game type buckets, right? Like I'm going to get this bucket right now because I do not want to lose. And then for Alperen Sengun, Alpi getting back to form offensively, at least, because he was one of the main culprits defensively in this game. The defense from Alpi was not great in this game. Needs to be so much better than it was tonight. But 23 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, 10 of 18 shooting. Very solid evening for Alperen Sengun. And in the clutch, right? In those final moments, as the Rockets were trying to pull away from a Bulls team that would just not go away, Alperen Sengun made up for missing his 4 free throws the other night against is that the Kings or the Blazers? One of them. Made up for that, hitting 2 clutch free throws to extend the Rockets lead a little bit further out as Jabari was going through his little flurry of buckets there at the end of the game as well. But the playmaking from Alperen Sengun, right? Rockets going back to using him, leaning a lot more into the hub dynamic of Sengun. Felt like he handled the rock a lot more this game. Felt like he brought the ball up a lot more this game, right? Just getting the Rockets in and out of their sets a little bit easier, taking some of that pressure away from Kevin Durant because KD has to do it when Sengun's not on the floor. So might as well take advantage of Sengun when he is on the floor, right? Let him initiate offense. Let him bring the ball up. Let him do all that. Makes life a little bit easier for everybody involved. And guys were really feasting off of Alpi in this game. A lot of dribble handoff sets, some good screening from Sengun in this game. Just need to see him step it up defensively because he is the backbone of this Rockets defense. And if he's lacking or if he's not giving 100% effort defensively every play, right? And that's the tough thing as a star, right? You got to juggle your offensive production with what you're giving output-wise on defense. But he needs to be able to be a backbone defensively, a good communicator and a good rebounder, closing out possession strong, all that for the squad to be good on the defensive side of things. But a strong game from him, flirting with a triple-double. He loves playing the Bulls, man. He had a triple-double last season against him in Chicago. And Amen Thompson. I was so down bad after the Kings loss that I didn't even get to talking about Amen Thompson, the one major silver lining from that game, right? His 30 piece. Because I was lost in all of the bad from that game. But Amen Thompson and the most positive development in his game of late, right, has been the free throw shooting. Like if you've got worries or concerns about Amen Thompson's long-term ability to develop a consistent or reliable outside shot in some capacity, even if it's just like a consistent midi, like that should be enough to tell you, like anybody that's shooting free throws that consistently well, 10 of 10, he was 8 of 8 the other night. He's been awesome from the line this season. Shooting still, I believe he's still above 80%, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to like fact check myself really quickly here. Yep, 80.6%. That's an absurd jump for a guy who is, you know, a broken shooter, whatever, to make it the free throw line. And that's probably an encouraging sign for his overall shooting development as he progresses throughout his career. I'm not going to say like it's going to be Kawhi Leonard-esque, right? But Kawhi did the same thing, right? Kawhi came in with no jump shot whatsoever and then built it, worked on it, and got to the place that he is today. And if anybody is psychotic enough to put in that amount of work on their jumper, it's definitely Amen Thompson. He has that like Michael Jordan-esque, he and his brother have that insane, psychotic Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant-esque mentality about the way that they approach the game of basketball. And again, you can tell he's put the work in, but it's also, as a part of that though, is his ability to get downhill. He's putting so much pressure on opposing defenses. He had that one play where he just drove. He jumped from the dotted semicircle inside the free throw line and just like glided in the air, hung in the air for another few feet and got right to the rim. And Vucevic was just like backpedaling, couldn't do anything about it, couldn't contest, couldn't jump, was like he was stuck in mud. And Amen did a few of those this game where he just went up to the. Also, I gotta give some props to Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, and I think Dalen Terry had one of them, if I'm not mistaken, but contesting and like not shying away from Amen Thompson's very vicious drives to the rim. Like Amen Thompson went to the rim with lethal intentions multiple times this game. So did Alperen Sengun. Like they were not messing around. And Amen Thompson drew so many fouls because of it. When he plays with that aggressive mentality, when he plays like he's the fastest, biggest, strongest dude on the court, which is kind of how LeBron James has played most of his career, right? When he plays with that downhill mentality, there are very few individual defenders and very few team defenses that can actually stop Amen Thompson. And that's when he's at his absolute best, right? That's the version of Amen Thompson. You just get him going downhill, lights out. And if they don't send a second defender to help, then he gets fouled or he scores at the cup. And if they do send a second defender, that's where he needs to be really good about those kickout passes getting downhill, right? That's the Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, whatever you want to call it, downhill attack plan for a lead guard. No dancing on the perimeter, no space. Just put your head down like a fullback and get straight to the rim. Loved what we saw out of Amen Thompson in this game. And then I did want to give quick mention to Reed Sheppard, who, right, I don't think I talked about this in the second segment. I don't think this is like a demotion for Reed Sheppard. He still played 22 minutes, right? Still played a very vital role out there on the floor. I think if anything, this shows maybe a little progress from Ime Udoka, that rather than like sticking with tried and true Jayshawn Tate, going for more Clint Capela minutes and leaning even more on the double big lineups, like instead of doing all that mess, right? Ime trusted a young player, not a veteran, to go out there and show what he had. And I think the Rockets are going to be all the better for it, right? Those JD Davison minutes were so impactful, but being able to play Reed Sheppard both on and off ball also further unlocks Reed Sheppard. That's one of the reasons that as like the foundation of the Rockets' future, Sengun, Amen, and Reed all together, they kind of make up for each other's weaknesses in a way, right? Like the shooting now from Reed Sheppard and Amen and Alperen Sengun makes up for Amen Thompson's shooting. The playmaking ability of Alperen Sengun and Amen Thompson can help offset Reed Sheppard, who is sometimes better utilized off ball than on ball, right? So there's levels to it, to where having JD Davison out there allows Reed Sheppard to play both on and off ball without feeling like every possession he's got to walk the ball up, or every possession he's got to, walk the ball up, get it off to KD or Alperen Sengun, right? There's not all that pressure. And so I think JD Davison relieves some of that, and you get a better version of Reed Sheppard. He had a couple early threes, I want to say there was a floater mixed in there somewhere, but just 3 of 8 shooting overall, 2 of 5 from downtown. Like, you take it, it's 40% shooting. And Reed's a volume 3-point shooter, right? He's a guy that you want him taking ideally like 7, 8+ threes a game, because he could get scorching hot, right, and nail like 4 or 5 of them in a row. But that's what volume shooters got to do to be able to sometimes find their rhythm a little bit. But he's still shooting lights out for the season. He's still well above 40%, I believe, for the year. Not well above, 40.4. So he's the same percentage above 40% as Amen Thompson is above 80% on his free throw shooting. But overall, a good win, a much needed win for this Rockets squad. Hopefully one that will allow Jabari Smith Jr. to build upon the confidence that he gained from this game. The big three looked really, really solid throughout this one. Need to still step things up defensively, especially without Tari, Eason, and DFS in the rotation. Not sure if DFS is going to be a long-term thing. I think it was just this one game. It was injury maintenance for DFS for why he was missing this game. So he should be back for the next one against OKC. And that's going to be a big test for a Rockets team that's been floundering, that went through a losing streak and just kind of scraped by against a bad Bulls team without 2 of their best players. OKC could be a slaughter, or it could be another wake-up game where the Rockets actually play up to the level of their opponent and look like the contender that we hope they can be this season. With that, I want all your thoughts from this game. I want your thoughts on Jabari Smith Jr., Want your thoughts on JD Davison's new role and his impact on the floor, all that good stuff in the comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.